from Patter Cake, the channel that's about baking and much more. A warm welcome to my channel. Today we are making another Goan favorite, another mildly sweet Christmas time delight, crunchy kormolas. Like my last recipe, today's recipe too can be used for making both kormolas as well as kulkuls. Only this one is an eggless recipe. But still, it will give you deliciously light and crunchy kormolas and kulkuls. And I can't wait to show you how that's done right here at Patter Cake. Here are our main ingredients. 1.5 cups of maida or all-purpose flour, that's around 190 grams. 5 tablespoons of granulated sugar, that's around 65 grams. I measured it first and then ground it finely. And 2 tablespoons of fine semolina or rava. If you don't have fine semolina, just grind some regular semolina in your mixer grinder for around a minute. We'll also need 1.5 tablespoons of melted pure ghee. You could substitute this with butter or vanaspati, that's vegetable fat, and some coconut milk. We'll use only as much as we need to make a pliable dough. I had already sifted this flour, so now I'll directly transfer it to a mixing bowl, along with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and the semolina. Let's mix all of this. And then add in the warm melted ghee. I'll wipe this small bowl clean with some dry flour so that we can transfer all of the ghee to the mixing bowl, and this tiny bowl too becomes easier to wash later on. We have to rub the ghee well into the flour mix. Next, let's add in the sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cardamom. And then mix everything again. Now let's start kneading the dough for the kormolas using the coconut milk. We'll give the coconut milk a stir before adding it because it tends to separate. I'll first add just 2 tablespoons of it. Let's add another 2 tablespoons. The dough seems to be coming together now. So let's add just 1/2 tablespoon more. And another 1/2 tablespoon. In all, I've added 5 tablespoons of coconut milk. You might need a little more or a little less than this. Make a pliable dough with a consistency that's close to that of chapati dough, maybe a little firmer. We'll now cover the dough and let it rest for around 40 minutes to give the semolina time to absorb some moisture and soften. After around 40 minutes, let's knead the dough lightly and then divide it into 4 parts. We'll start making kormolas with 1 portion and keep the other 3 covered till then. Let's first dust the work surface lightly with some maida. Just a little of it. And then roll out the dough ball as thinly as possible. If the sheet of dough develops large cracks while rolling it out, it will indicate that the dough is too stiff and you would then have to add another teaspoon or so of coconut milk to it. Small cracks like this would be fine. Like I said, the dough sheet should be as thin as possible. Now let's cut this into small squares of around 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. Oops, this line is crooked. I'll have to be more careful. Each little piece we cut out should be as perfectly square-shaped as possible. But if some pieces are not, then here's what you could do. Tug at the dough with your fingers and expand it till it's closer to a square shape. After that, we'll have to bring opposite corners together and then press them well so they don't separate again while frying. To make doubly sure that doesn't happen, you could dip your fingertip in water and then moisten a corner lightly before folding the piece and firmly pressing the diagonally opposite ends together. Like this. Next, we have to join the other two corners. Moisten one corner, tuck the folded dough in a little, and then pull the two free corners together. Press them down, and then lightly twist the two joined pointed ends, like this. Let me show you this again. Actually, Kormola is the contracted form of the real name, Carambola, which is, in fact, the Portuguese word for star fruit, the shape of which is somewhat like Kormolas. In Konkani too, star fruit is called Carambola. Its close relative is the sour bimbli. Okay, back to our recipe. See that you keep the shaped Kormolas covered with a napkin to keep them from drying out. I'll now continue making the rest of the Kormolas. I made Kormolas with 3 dough portions and will now make a few Kulkuls with this 4th one. Please check out my other recipe with detailed instructions for making Kulkuls. The link to that video is up here and in the description box below. And also, do check out my other Christmas recipes, like my quicker recipe for flavorful bolinhas. Again, the link is in the description box. After rolling out each Kulkul, seal it using the points of the comb's teeth and then pinching the dough. Sealing the open end of the Kulkuls like this prevents them from uncurling too much after they puff up in the hot oil while frying them. I'll continue making the rest of the Kulkuls. Now that we are done with the shaping, let's start deep frying these. My oil is heating up on a medium-low flame. Let's check if it's hot enough. The dough ball needed just a few seconds to rise to the top, meaning the oil has reached the right temperature. So let's transfer the first batch of Kormolas to it. Don't be worried if the oil starts frothing. It will froth. And don't disturb the Kormolas for the first minute or so. After that, gently swirl them around and turn them over in the oil to fry them evenly on all sides. Like the Kulkuls in last week's video, the Kormolas too will puff up while frying them and then shrink a little on cooling down. Like Kulkuls, these two need to be fried slowly on medium-low or low heat for around 5 to 7 minutes. That's how long they should take to become golden brown. If you find they are browning too fast, reduce the heat from medium-low to low and after some time, increase the heat again if necessary. Don't fry the Kormolas till they are fully brown. Like Kulkuls, they'll continue to fry even after removing them from the kadai because of the residual heat inside them and become even browner. After 5.5 minutes, these seem to be done. So I'll drain off the excess oil and transfer them to a bowl lined with an absorbent kitchen paper towel. Let's fry the next batch of Kormolas. And finally, let's fry the Kulkuls. See how they expand in size while frying them. These took almost 6 minutes to fry. Now let's take them out of the oil. Now that they've cooled completely, let's check their texture. Nice and crunchy. And so are the Kulkuls. I told you, if you want to make light and crunchy kormolas and kulkuls, this is another excellent recipe for you to try out this Christmas. But don't forget to share the recipe and spread the word about my channel, okay? Next week, I'll share my recipe for a moist and delicious Christmas cake with you. Make sure to check it out. And till we meet again, happy cooking!